want to apologize to Tiger. I'm truly sorry and kind of settle things down and hopefully move on.
The only thing that bothers me is a guy that'll be hitting 15 and thinks he's still going to finish the hole.
Picture this. You're the 64th seed in a tournament, dead last, you barely made it in, and you decide to call out Tiger Woods, the #1 player in the world, saying anything can happen, especially the way he's been driving it. That quote, that was Stephen Ames in 2006. And what Tiger did next became the most surgical, most ruthless, most perfectly executed revenge in sports history. This isn't just about a golf match. This is about what happens when you poke a lion that keeps receipts. The stage was set at the 2006 WGC Match Play Championship in Carlsbad, California. The format was brutal. 64 players, single elimination, one-on-one duels where your only job is to psychologically destroy the man standing next to you. When the first round pairings came out, everyone saw the mismatch. Tiger Woods, world #1, the most feared closer in golf. Opposite him, Stephen Ames, seed number 64, the absolute last man to get into the tournament, only there because someone else withdrew. It was the most lopsided matchup on paper in the entire event. And then Ames did the unthinkable. During a routine media session, a reporter asked him about drawing Tiger in the first round. Ames shrugged and said, anything can happen, especially the way he's been driving it. The room went silent. You don't do that. You don't poke the lion. You don't hand ammunition to a man who has built an entire career on finding imagined slights and turning them into 72-hole executions. But Ames had just done exactly that. Now, to be fair, there was some truth to the comment. Tiger's driving stats had been a little erratic. He'd recently withdrawn from the Nissan Open with the flu. The golf media had been whispering about it. But the sin wasn't the accuracy of the statement. The sin was the audacity. The number 64 seed, the last man in, was publicly critiquing the game of the #1 seed, a man who had already won the Buick Invitational that same month and was, by his own admission, full of confidence. It was a catastrophic breach of the tour's pecking order. Ames had just given Tiger Woods the one thing a man with everything still craves, a reason. On the surface, Tiger remained calm. His public face, as always, was a mask of focus, but behind those eyes, a mental file was being saved. The disrespect was logged. The quote was archived. The receipt was filed away. This is the Tiger doctrine. He doesn't bark. He doesn't engage in trash talk. He simply keeps receipts. Like Michael Jordan, like Larry Bird, Tiger possesses an almost supernatural need to find an enemy. These kinds of competitors don't just endure criticism, they hunt for it. They weaponize it. They turn it into rocket fuel. Jordan famously made up slights from opponents just to create the rage he needed. Bird would walk into locker rooms and announce who was playing for second place. Tiger's method is quieter but infinitely more dangerous. He lets the opponent talk. He files the receipt, and then he waits for the perfect moment to cash it. But here's the thing most people don't know. 2006 wasn't the first receipt Ames handed him. This wasn't a reaction to one comment. This was the cold, calculated cashing of an IOU that was 6 years old. Back in 2000, during the peak of Tiger's dominance, when he was in the middle of the Tiger Slam, Stephen Ames gave an interview. He said Tiger doesn't look like he has enough respect for other players. He said Tiger's coming across as bigger than the game. Then he added this. He's a spoiled 24-year-old. If I was in his position, I'd be more considerate. He made $11 million in 1999, endorsed more than $50 million. What's he got to be unhappy about? For 6 years, that quote sat in Tiger's mental archive. Spoiled. Bigger than the game? Dormant, but never forgotten. The 2006 driving comment wasn't the match that lit the fuse. It was just the final spark that landed on a 6-year-old powder keg. Stephen Ames had forgotten about the first receipt. Tiger Woods never forgets. Now the revenge was set, and the venue, match play, was a gift from the gods of conflict. If this had been a normal stroke play event, Ames could have hidden. Stroke play is a marathon against the entire field and the course. Your opponent could be 10 groups ahead, anonymous and safe. Ames could have shot 75, missed the cut, and been on a plane home before Tiger ever looked him in the eye. But this was match play, and match play is a sprint. It's not a tournament. It's a street fight. The psychology is completely different. It's a roller coaster that rewards boldness, mind games, and momentum. Your opponent is right there. You feel his every breath. You see his every mistake. The goal isn't to shoot the lowest score. The goal is to break the man across from you. It's one-on-one combat, where you're not just playing the course, you're playing the person. This was the arena Ames had created for himself. His quote ensured that every camera, every microphone, every fan would be watching this match. There was no hiding. There was no cut line. There was no escape. He was trapped in a single elimination coliseum on a Wednesday afternoon against the world's #1 who was holding a 6-year-old IOU. The match was over before the first ball was even struck. The walk to the first tee at 2:01 p.m. was chilling. There was the standard handshake, brief, ice cold. But people looking for a dramatic stare down were missing the point. The intimidation wasn't in an angry glare. It was in the total absence of warmth, recognition, or humanity. Tiger had perfected the poker face to keep opponents from reading hiding his thoughts. He didn't glower. He didn't speak. He simply existed in a state of cold, clinical focus. A commentator on the broadcast nailed it perfectly, saying Woods seemed to be on a mission from the very first tee. No smile, no chatter, just intent. The message wasn't sent with his eyes. It was sent with the chilling, methodical way he took his practice swings. The execution was about to begin. What followed wasn't a golf match. It was a 90-minute detonation, a mathematical demolition. Ames, the man who questioned Tiger's driving, watched as Woods striped his opening tee shot down the middle. Tiger made birdie on the first hole. He was 1 up. On the second hole, another birdie, 2 up. On the third, a par 3 birdie, 3 up. On the fourth, birdie, 4 up. On the fifth, birdie, 5 up. On the sixth hole, Tiger made his 6th consecutive birdie to open the match. He was 6 up. The blitzkrieg was on. This wasn't just dominance, it was perfection. The gallery that gathered for a competitive match was now watching a public execution. 6 birdies in 6 holes. Think about that for a second. 6 consecutive birdies to start a match. That's not golf. That's a statement. That's Tiger telling Ames and everyone watching that the disrespect stops here, right now, on this course. Every swing was deliberate. Every putt was confident. There was no hesitation, no mercy, just pure clinical execution. But the genius of Tiger's revenge goes deeper. With a massive lead, the psychology of match play completely reverses. Ames, now desperate, was forced to play hero golf, to take insane risks just to try and win a single hole. That pressure caused him to crack. On the 7th hole, Ames made bogey. Tiger, no longer needing to attack, simply made par. 7 up. On the 8th hole, Ames made another bogey. Tiger made another simple par. 8 up. On the 9th hole, a par 5, Tiger re-engaged the attack. He made his 7th birdie of the front 9. Ames made par, but it didn't matter. They made the turn in just over an hour. The scorecard read, Woods 9 up. He had won every single hole on the front 9. You gotta admit, this kind of revenge is rare. Quick question, if someone called you washed up, how would you respond? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe because we've got more untold Tiger moments like this coming up. The statistical destruction was total. In the 10 holes they played, Woods hit all 10 greens in regulation. He needed only 14 putts. He had answered the criticism of his driving by putting on one of the most flawless ball striking clinics in the history of the sport. Every par Ames made felt like a loss. He was being suffocated by relentless mathematical precision. There was no air left to breathe. This is what separates Tiger from everyone else. Most players would have eased up, taken their foot off the gas with a comfortable lead. Not Tiger. He kept the pressure on, hole after hole, never giving Ames a chance to breathe or regroup. It was calculated cruelty disguised as professional golf. The mental torture was just as brutal as the scorecard. Ames was being taught a lesson in real time, and the entire golf world was watching the masterclass unfold. The two men walked to the 10th tee. The match was now dormy, meaning Ames had to win every remaining hole just to tie. It was a formality. Ames, to his credit, managed to par on the 10th. Tiger had a putt for birdie and the win. He calmly matched the par instead. The knockout punch was delivered not with a birdie, but with a conceded tap-in. The match was over. The final score, 9-8, 9 up with 8 holes left to play. This wasn't just a win, it was a record. It remains the single largest margin of victory in the history of the WGC Match Play Championship. The previous record for an 18-hole match was 7-6. Woods shattered it. The handshake was immediate. There was no fist pump, no celebration. Woods simply smiled, removed his cap, and extended his hand. Ames, to his credit, was a good sport, patting Woods on the shoulder as they walked off the green. The scoreboard had done all the talking, but this is where the story enters the realm of legend. A 9-8 record-breaking victory was, in Tiger's mind, not enough. In later interviews, Woods revealed how ticked off he was that he missed his birdie putt on the 10th hole. Had that putt dropped, the score would have been 10-8, the ultimate golfing humiliation. He had been denied total annihilation, and it bothered him. He wasn't satisfied with a historic victory. He was angry he hadn't achieved a perfect one. I just think he didn't quite respect the way that I can play the game of golf, Woods said years later on a podcast. So I had to show him that I can still play. But the receipt wasn't fully cashed until the post-match press conference. Tiger, fresh off the course, was met by reporter Judy Rankin. The exchange is legendary. Tiger, you seem to be on a mission from the very first tee, Rankin said. Was there some kind of inspiration other than you love match play? Woods, with a small, knowing smirk, didn't hesitate. Oh yeah, it certainly was. Stephen provided it. Later, in the media center, another reporter asked for his thoughts on Ames's pre-match comments. Woods delivered the coldest, most perfect response of his career. He didn't relitigate the quote. He didn't boast about his play. He simply smirked and gave a 2-word, 2-number answer that said everything. 9-8. He let the scoreboard be the punch, but he wasn't quite finished. He had one final line for the press and for Ames. I think he understands now. Ames started the confrontation with a quote. Woods ended it with one, but Ames's was an opinion. Tiger's was a fact. It was the most perfect, symmetrical, brutal revenge imaginable. The Ames match stands as the definitive Tiger Woods revenge story because of its sheer purity. It wasn't a noisy comeback. It wasn't a gritty, come-from-behind victory. It was a mathematical demolition from the very first swing. It's definitive because he answered a specific public doubt with a flawless, targeted, overwhelming performance. Ames questioned his driving, so Woods hit 100% of his greens in regulation. The answer was so complete, it made the question and the questioner totally irrelevant. Think about the psychology of that. Ames Ames woke up that morning probably feeling confident, maybe even a little proud of his quote. By the time he walked off that 10th green, he'd been dismantled so thoroughly that his entire perspective on professional golf had likely shifted. This wasn't just about winning. It was about sending a message to everyone on tour. Challenge Tiger Woods at your own peril. Most importantly, this matches the purest Tiger paradox. It's the perfect blend of his competitive identity, the ice-cold execution, the business-like demeanor, the lack of celebration, the quiet handshake, and the scorching internal fire. The 6-year-old receipt he'd carried silently. The private, competitive rage at only winning 9 and 8 instead of the perfect 10 and 8. Ice cold outside, burning fire inside. He didn't roar. He whispered with his clubs. In a strange twist, the lesson was so profound it didn't destroy Ames. It may have actually forged him. Just 3 tournaments later, Stephen Ames came back and won the Players' Championship, the biggest win of his career by a dominant 6-shot margin. Perhaps the historic beating served as a catalyst. Ames had been given a brutal, first-hand 10-hole masterclass in what cold-blooded dominance looked like. He was perhaps the only player that year who truly understood. But the Ames match isn't an isolated incident. It's the crown jewel in an entire collection of cashed receipts. Tiger Woods' career is built on a foundation of revenge wins. Take Rory Sabatini in 2007. The outspoken South African made a career of poking the lion. After losing to Tiger's Sunday charge at the Wachovia Championship, Sabatini told the media that Woods looked more beatable than ever. He later withdrew from Tiger's own charity event, the Target World Challenge, in what everyone saw as a major snub. Tiger's response was a 2-part masterwork. First, the verbal receipt. When asked about Sabatini's beatable comment, Woods delivered a cold, factual takedown. He said he likes the new Tiger. Woods replied, "I have won 3 times this year, the same amount he has won in his career." Ouch. Then came the physical receipt. Woods proceeded to beat Sabatini head-to-head at Wachovia, and again at the WGC Bridgestone Invitational. As Tiger put it, "I just go out there and let my clubs do the talking." Then there's Sergio Garcia in 2013. The rivalry between Woods and Garcia was long, petty, and personal. It all came to a head at the Players' Championship. Paired together, Garcia publicly accused Woods of gamesmanship, claiming Tiger pulled a club from his bag to intentionally create crowd noise during Sergio's backswing. "I'm not going to lie," Garcia complained. "He's not my favorite guy to play with. He's not the nicest guy on tour." When the press asked Tiger if he would clear the air with Garcia, Woods took a long pause, looked at the reporter, and gave a simple, one-word answer that drew fits of laughter. "No." Then the universe delivered the rest. On Sunday, tied for the lead with Woods, Garcia came to the iconic Pair 3 17th Island green. The pressure of the feud, the crowd, and the moment caused a complete psychological collapse. He hit his tee shot into the water. He took a drop and from a similar spot hit his second consecutive ball into the water. He made a 7, imploding in spectacular fashion and handing the tournament to Woods. Pure karmic retribution. The receipt was stamped. This is the pattern. This is the Tiger doctrine. Say what you want before the round. Say what you want in the press tent. It all makes for good copy. But the only quote that matters is the number next to your name when Tiger's done with you. The final image of the 2006 WGC match play isn't a trophy. It's a scoreboard. Frozen in time, silent, savage, and final. Woods, 9 and 8. If that's not the most poetic revenge you've ever seen, I don't know what is. Drop your favorite Tiger moment below and don't forget to subscribe. We've got plenty more stories of greatness, grit, and payback on the way.